Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to your show, Think Big and Be Inspired. Today we have a very special guest, and tell us first where you're tuning in from, and we will enjoy tonight. We have a very special guest. He has a great journey from depression to moving to doing what he likes and working on his passion in consultancy, working as an attorney for civil rights. He has his own podcast also. You can say he's an entrepreneur. We met for some time. I was his guest on his show, and he's really a good friend. Let's welcome Carl, Shawn,
Hey,
Watkins.
what's going on?
Oh man, how are you doing?
All right, man. How y'all are you?
Everything's good, man. Thank you so
Everything.
much for joining me today, and I hope all is good at your place, and I hope you're safe and your family is safe during these hard times of COVID.
Yes, man. Everybody's safe. We're hoping to kind of open things up a little bit more. It seems like they're doing a little bit more in the U.S. Man, I'm in New Jersey, in between Philadelphia and New York. So they kind of like talking about the beaches maybe for Memorial Day. But we're keeping our fingers crossed. We'll see. I'm still going out with my mask on. I've been vaccinated. I got both of my
Oh, great.
shots, but I'm
Yeah.
still kind of like I'm still kind of leery. So it might take a while for me to take my mask off.
Yeah, yeah, it will take a while for all of us, I think, to go back to normal. I don't know
Yeah.
how, because psychologically, you're still scared to get close to people and not wearing your
Yeah.
mask. I totally agree with you.
That's
Oh, we got already some friends coming in. Valeria,
all right.
our friend, how are you, Valeria? Sending her regards. Olga Alcavar, thank you for joining us.
Yes, got some good people in there.
Yeah, Valeria
Valeria, my
sending the
sweetheart,
greetings
Valeria.
from Peru.
Yes, all the way from Peru. I gotta get to Peru. I keep telling you,
Yeah, we
man.
gotta go together, man.
When they open up, man, when they open
Uh,
up, I gotta go. I'm going to places that I never thought about going before. Like the pandemic has put a lot of places on my list to travel, man. It
yes,
really has.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
We increased our wish list during the pandemic. I totally agree with you.
Yes.
Aman is also joining us. Thank you, Aman, for coming in. Our brother
Ah,
Osama
my
Zaid.
man, Ifama.
How
What's
are
up,
you doing,
Ifama?
man?
Ifama's in the house, man. That's my man right there. That's my man right there.
Carl, tell me about your journey. Want to know about your journey. How did you move from being depressed to being having some really tough time to follow your dreams and getting out of that? It's really tough, I know, and we want to know how did you manage to do that?
It's my story. Well, it's probably like a lot of people's story, but I just decided that in essence of what I've been through and what I don't think I went through what I went through just for me. And I
Yeah,
think a lot of times, if we really take that on, if we get past all of the hurt that whatever we went through has caused us, and we kind of see that we're being used as an example, and especially me being a spiritual man, I just kind of feel that God put that on me, in essence, to me to bring somebody else out.
yes,
And once I start taking it on as that was not a story I was hearing, it was my story, and I just went from there. A lot of people don't know that I was abused as a child. That abuse and not being able to talk about it led me to being an alcoholic. And I mean, I was full fledged at one point in time. I used to get into it with people talking about functional alcoholic because I'm like, well, the term alcoholic already knows, and everybody hears that that means that you need help. And so, how can you need help and be functioning at the same time? So, I never reconciled those two. But from that point, and not being able to talk about it and not being able to share what was really going on with me, that led to depression. And it kind of like held hands, the abuse, the addiction, and depression. That's why I put it
yeah,
on my site like that. And that's why I tell everybody because they were partnering, really just trying to be my demise. And I was in the army, and I was an M1 tanker, and a lot of nights I sat on my tank. And we had a 45 service. That was our service gun, and a lot of nights I sat on that tank, man, just thinking about pulling the trigger. Just thinking that life
oh,
wasn't worth it. And it just something just clicked in me to have me to understand. And I say it was nothing but the grace of God to have me to understand and know that I was here for more than what I saw visually with my eyes. And I
Yes.
just went on that journey of that. I cleaned myself up. I stopped, with the alcohol. I started praying more. Started building my relationship with God, and I just started seeing things turn about. And in the essence of that, I didn't lose track of where I came from because a lot of people shameful of the things that's happened in their
Yes.
past. And I was not shameful. I was embracing it. I embraced my vulnerability. I embraced being able to share with people what had went on with me and how I'm progressing now. So that's really the journey that I'm on now, regardless of all the shows and the things that you've mentioned. Those things are only just outlets to me for people, to see that you can do this too. I've had so many people that DM me in my DMs, and they read a post or they saw a video and it like just changed their thinking and just like transformed them. That's what's making an impact. Really is. It's not about me selling a program. It's not about me having webinars. It's not about me just telling people what to do. It's about impacting lives and seeing lives transform from a place of where they were to where they are and where they're going from there, man. And that's what brings me joy.
Yeah, amazing story, Carl, I think, and it's great how you transformed that. Like what you're saying, it's about changing lives. It's about if you can make impact in one person's life, even that's enough. That's
Yes.
not about the programs, like you're saying. It's not about what we're doing. It's all about helping people through sharing knowledge, experience, through like helping people going out of that because you manage to be vulnerable and you manage to go out of that. So if you can help someone to go out of that's the gift from God, like you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing, man. We have the DJG 1-to-1. He's sending his regards, also an amazing DJ. Thank you, DJ 1-to-1.
Great question, man. That was a great question. You got what did
What did you learn about yourself going through this? Yeah,
that
tell
was a
us.
great
That's a
question.
good question.
DJ, that's an excellent question. And what I really learned from myself is that this is not for me. I didn't internalize what happened to me. A lot of times we go through things and we get the why me spirit. We
Yeah.
get, oh, woe is
Yes.
me.
Blame. Yeah.
Why this had to happen to me? Why did these things have to happen to me? Why did I have to go through this? Why did this transpire in my life? I never took that on. What I
Yeah.
took on, and a lot of people say it, and it's kind of cliche. So I was like, why not me? What makes me so different that I can't go through something and come out on the other side? And that's really what I learned about myself. I learned about myself is that you're strong enough to take this. You're stronger than what you're going through, and regardless of wherever, because there were some dark moments, and there
Yes,
were some
exactly.
times where I just wanted to give up and throw in the towel. But I always had that little voice in the back of my head say, "You can do this." See, we have to find that internal voice to drive
Strength.
us, because not all the
Yeah.
time somebody's going to pat you on the back and say, "Hey, you done a great job."
Oh,
Hey, sometimes you got to dig deep down on the inside and say, "Okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to come through with this? How am I going to transform my life? What way am I going to take responsibility and accountability for what?" And that's really what I learned of. I learned that I can be different than what I thought I was.
that's really true, Carl. Yeah, we must dig deep inside in our inner self to move out. Yes, we will find some peace maybe in some people, some family, but nobody will get you out of what you are in except you. If you are in a depression, if you are looking for a job, like lost your job, looking for a job,
Mhm.
having problem, like you said, maybe alcohol, having problem with anything, nobody will get you out of it except yourself and your trust, your belief, and of course the higher source, God, whatever you believe in. I totally agree with you. We have some friends coming in here.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Hey,
Shania
Tanya,
Singleton, how are you?
lovely lady, lovely lady. Enjoy her,
Yes.
enjoy her.
DJG is saying planting seeds of love to the world. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Shay Lynch, our friend
Hey,
from
what's
Dublin,
going on, Shay?
sending his regards. Beth
Yeah,
Donnelly,
love
very
Beth.
nice.
Love
Yeah,
Beth.
yeah, she's
She's
very,
always
very
there to
kind.
talk
She's
time.
always there for everyone.
Yes, she is.
Thank you so much, Beth. Didier is from Ivory Coast, and he's
Thank
joining
you.
us. And thank you, Mel, for joining us.
Yes, absolutely.
Ahmad Ismail, thank you, is sending his regards also.
Yes, great, great, great to see you guys.
Tell me about the Daily Word and when did you start? How did this? Tell me about the story of the Daily Word. I
Okay.
know it, but I want to share it with other people because it's really interesting.
And
And
it
when
is.
did you start to make like posts about it and think about it? And tell me about your passion about words and vocabulary and all that.
Yes, I wrote if anybody wants to know the story, it's in my articles. You just follow Carl Shawn Watkins. It's in the articles part of there, and it's called The Birth of the Daily Word. And what the daily word was to me, and the shortness of it, shortest of the story. I was about 5 years old, and I was one that loved to read as a kid. And I think reading was also the way that I dealt with the abuse and things going on. So I think reading was the outlet that I used to go, because if you read now, it takes you to wherever you read it. It takes you there if you let it and engulf yourself in it. And I got a lot of books as a kid. And one Christmas, I think I was about 5 or 6. I know it was in the early 70s. And I got a dictionary for Christmas. And I got a brand new, still in a wrapper, still in a box, wrapped up just like any kid would get a toy. I got a dictionary, and a lot of people would say when I tell the story, they say, "Well, you like to read. That was like a perfect gift for you, right?" But for
Yes.
some reason or not, I didn't want a book then. I didn't want a book for Christmas. That's what I always got. I didn't do the toys. I didn't have a lot of toys, GI Joes, all those things. But my dad kind of saw how my attitude was with receiving that gift. And most families, we sit around the tree and tear up. He told me to hop up on the couch with him, and he asked me, did I like the gift? And me being a dad's son, I didn't want to disappoint him. I was just like, yeah, Dad, I liked it. But he saw that I didn't really take too well to it. And just being like my dad was, man, he said, I tell you why. He said, I'm going to tell you why I gave you that gift. And I sat there listening and I was attentive to him. He said, I gave you that gift because you are special. You're different than your brother and your sister. And I'm like engroving it now because I'm a dad's son. So I'm like, yo, my dad's
Yeah.
son. He said, I'll tell you what we're going to do with this book. He said, we're going to read this book every day when you come home from school. He said, we're going to walk through it. He said, I'm going to teach you the words, how to say them, how to pronounce them, how to spell them, how to put them in a sentence. And he said, we're going to do this every day. And he said, this is going to be
Amazing.
something that you and I do forever. He said, this is going to go past Christmases. So even though you got it on Christmas, we're going to do this forever. So I was excited, man. I was like, no, my dad's special project time with him. It was like, the best of both worlds to me, man. And that's how I got really into words. And what I really found most about that, when he passed when I was 15, and I was gonna take the dictionary. I took it with me actually to the funeral, and I was gonna put it in his casket, and my mom wouldn't let me. So we got back home, and everybody had left, the Passover, and I had all the food and everybody. It was just us. And I asked my mom, I was like, why you ain't let me put the dictionary in there? And she's like, well, son, let me sit you down and tell you why your dad gave you that dictionary. And she said, your dad saw something special in you and he wanted you to have that. And for some reason, not he kind of felt that this will be your training as a young black kid living in the ghetto of Chicago to keep you out of trouble and help you be able to articulate, talk to, be able to look people in the eye, and be able to express yourself as a young African American man. And she said, I don't know if he knew he wasn't going to be here when you got to that age or what. And he wasn't. I was 15. It was my time of going from a teenager really into going into adulthood where I needed a man guidance. I needed my father. But what he gave me was that dictionary and how to communicate with people that has really resonated with me over. So that's really the birth of the daily word. And I'm very, very knowledgeable on words, but I also like to do it from the spiritual connotation of I explain it to you how Merriam-Webster says it is, and then I let you know how I feel about it and how I see it. And that's how the daily word got started, man.
It's an amazing story, yeah, and it's really a great gift from your dad. God bless his
Yeah,
soul. He gave you something like a gift, really that lasts forever with you. And
yeah,
I really like your posts when you share the daily word and
yeah.
explain it. Yeah,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it is just it's one of those things where you take it now, and now it's a joy to me, even in talking about words, because I break down words in so many ways that people really don't understand, and especially the English language is so ambiguous. There's so many meanings. Like
Yes,
we look at one thing in the dictionary and we can't agree. Maybe the first dictionary version is what it means, but when it's applied to different people in different circumstances in different ways, it means a lot to different people. So sometimes I go through that notation, that spiritual discernment, so to speak, of what that word really means to a person in their life and how that's applied in their life is much more than how Merriam-Webster sat down and just say, this is what this means. Your life give words meaning, and it is what you apply to it with that understanding that you have. That's really what's great, and that's what I like to share with people.
that's amazing, Carl, of course. And it's not also exactly, it's not about the meanings, it's about how you apply this in real life. And that's why you do in the posts, and you do a lot of. You put a lot of good words and a lot of good effort to put some good posts, really.
Thank you,
Shay
man.
Lynch, yeah, Shay Lynch, thank you. You have to want it for yourself.
Yes, absolutely, Chef.
Thank you, Shay. Didier, yeah, thank you, Didier. Beth is sending her regards again, Carl, and saying we must wake up and speak to ourselves and motivate ourselves with the right attitude. Exactly, approaching the day with the right attitude. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, Beth.
that's it. That's it. Thank
Tayyib
you.
G also joining us from UAE. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us.
Yes, good
Did
time.
YML surround yourself with people who quench your thirst for life, inspire, and motivate you? Amazing,
Absolutely,
amazing words,
absolutely.
Mel. Thank you, thank you. Beth
Yeah.
again is saying touching relationship with your dad and how this inspiration words inspired your life. Yes,
Yes, it is his legacy, Beth. It definitely is. And he will be so proud of what I did with it. I just know him. He would be proud of how I'm carrying it on. And his thing was always impact. And my dad was he was very spiritual and very kind of like wise, worldly wise. Like he wasn't no college graduate and he didn't have, a lot of, he could build anything with his hands. And he just had the ingenuity of what life was. And that's what I got from him. I got life lessons from him that encouraged me to do book lessons and to marry those together. So that's why my thinking is what it is. I'm not no genius. I didn't come up with Apple. I didn't create companies, but I know that what I do, and what I come from the heart with impacts those that's in my circle that know me. And I just want to spread that, and it's nothing wrong with that. Like she said, Beth said, the attitude is free. And yes,
exactly.
your pearls of wisdom, my man Osama, they were poured on to me. So I'm just pouring on the other.
Exactly from your dad. You're following your dad. Aya Fakri
Yeah.
is saying that she's proud of you, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One of the best things to give your child is great knowledge and confidence.
Yeah.
DJG. Yes.
It's absolutely true.
And he's just connected with you, Carl.
Ah, great, man. Great, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. Hello, Adele from
Hello,
Saudi
hello,
Arabia.
Adele from Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Love it.
So, Carl, tell me about your new consultancy service and the Carl Shawn Watkins consultancy. What's it all about?
Man, this has been like in the making, and it's really been in the making based upon me. I've been doing business consulting and culture and engagement, but what I brought to it is what a lot of companies are missing, that vulnerable piece. Because
Yeah,
when you get from the owners and the managers, and you get that little tier down to the employees, and it's a gap in there where I'm just the boss and I tell you what to do. And
yeah,
what I really try to do with business owners and business professionals, period, to inspire leaders to show their vulnerability. A lot of people say, well, Carl, you always talk about vulnerability. Well, the key to it is you have to direct your vulnerability, because your vulnerability is what you give. I can't go into you and say, give me all your vulnerability. Your vulnerability has to be strategic in how you give it out, what you give out, how it's directed, how it's used. And when you do that, people have a sense of trusting you. They have a sense of being more open to you. And if we find that out in the level of business, when our owners tend to put us in involvement in things with the companies, with the corporations, decisions, and those kind of things, people are more apt to pour into them. And then you get the best results. And I think we have been missing this part in business. I think the pandemic has really waking up a lot
Yes.
in that, because of the simple fact that a lot of these companies just fell off the planet Earth. They didn't have the people that would back them. They didn't have the ones that would give their all to them, and knowing that, and a lot of people are doing it on their own self. And I did the same thing. I gave companies a lot of years of my life, over 25 years. I worked for other people, and I've developed other people, and I've coached other people, not
Great.
under those terms, but I did that as just a person I was, working and leading people. So I
Yeah.
said to myself, if I'm doing that, it's others that need to do that also. So I said, when I decided to open up this business, I said I wanted it to be consulting services. I wanted it to be a platform from where you can get your consulting service all into one. And a lot of people say, man, you're a consultant, you can't do this part, you can only do that part. I disagree. I
Yeah.
disagree. The services are there. I can coach you and consult you at the same time. And a lot of people you would say that to, you got to be one or the other. No, I never lived my life as one or the other. I've always had all of these attributes. So why would I try to put that as a business onto you? Because if I'm talking to you and I'm consulting you and directing you in the way that you should do things, I'm also coaching you in the best way that's fashionable and teachable to do that. So I don't understand that people try to, pull that apart. But to me, it's all one. And that's what I've gained. And that's what I've started with my business. Carl Shawn Watkins Consulting, what we do in there, we coach, we consult, we mentor, and I do speaking, such as I'm doing now. And all of those things on a foundation of me being vulnerable with the people I work with, being vulnerable, and having you being able to use that. And vulnerability is just nothing, your flaws. I am not perfect. That's all vulnerability is. It's not a sad story. It's not a dump off. It's not woe is me. It's like I got some things going on that I can't quite get a handle on. And maybe you can. And people forget that. That's what bridges humanity. When I'm vulnerable and I'm showing that you or anyone else that comes with a solution, they can see that vulnerability and can say, hey, maybe I can help you with that. And this is how I think humanity gets solidified.
I think it's a great mission, Carl, and exactly this is what we're missing in working in corporate. This link between people who are working down on the day by day shifts and from the
Yes.
leadership, and really this is really important. And yeah, like you said, during pandemic we started. It's for the first time to me to learn about the word empathy, compassion. All
Yeah,
these
man.
words
That stuff been around
they were
forever.
there. They were there all the time, but our first time
Yeah.
to learn and to hear about them during these hard times. So I think it's a great mission, and I'm sure that you do great in this consultancy because you did coaching a lot of time. I know also that you're keynote that you've been in a lot of speeches and you're a keynote speaker. So
Yes.
you will do good, I'm sure, man.
Yes, man. I enjoy what I do, and it's a passion. It's always been a passion, but sometimes when we get caught in the 9 to 5 or we get caught in the grind, we kind of lose self. And I always said, I used to say, I don't have an entrepreneurial spirit, but I always had it, really.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just need a push, or sometimes you need a direction, or sometimes you need a little guidance. And I get that a lot now with the group that we're in, Growth Academy, and
Yes.
how, we've come in there because Shanae and Growth Academy didn't give me the knowledge that I have. I already had
Yeah.
that. But what they gave me was an outline and a guidance and a format to say, hey, put everything you know into this kind of thing and see if it works out for you. And that's really what I did. I can't. And I told man, we laugh about this all the time. I bought one program from a person.
Yes. Yeah.
I knew I could keynote speak. I had done it before in jobs I spoke. at churches. I spoke at conferences. I knew I had the ability to speak and carry a room and carry on a conversation. But I wanted to kind of get that as a paying thing. And oftentimes when you look at that, you jump
Yes.
at the first thing, somebody says, yo, 6 steps to 7 figures. I was kind of like, so I paid for this course to do speaking. They gave me a lot of great information. They gave me, it was $995. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I put that money together and I said, I'm going to take a shot on myself. And I got all that information dumped load on me in downloads. I didn't get no understanding as to how to use it. I got no
Yeah.
training as to where to go. And I got no outlet as to say if I had questions or whatever. It was just dumped there. My almost $1,000 was gone and I didn't learn anything. And I told Sinead that story before I joined Growth Academy. I said, I will not spend a dime on another program. I said, so if you're not showing me that it's different, don't worry about it.
I will not join. Yeah.
We laugh about that today because I was like, it's the best money I've ever spent because I see growth and I see a direction that I'm taking on a journey that is really being fulfilling to me and it's being impactful, man.
I totally agree with you. It's about the community. It's about that
Yes.
she's showing up, and she every week she's in, and she's part of the community, and this is what makes it different. And it's not something that's recorded.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Let's take some comments in. Yeah, Nadal is sending his regard, our friend Nadal Hakel.
Nadal, that's my buddy, man.
Yeah.
I got to get him on the show. I didn't forget you, Nadal. I got your calendar link. I got to get on your show. That is my buddy, man. He's been following me for a long time. We've been a long time friends.
Yeah, a great friend. I've been on his show, and he's
yes, I saw you guys, man. He got a wonderful. I told him I'm feeling jealous, man. He never had me on your show, Nadal.
Yeah, Nadal is really great even in his show. I told him that you can be a presenter because he has his style and
yeah, he is, man.
Yeah.
He's
presenter,
a smooth dude. He's a smooth guy, man. He got the
Yes.
voice. He got the voice for it and everything, man. He's a smooth dude.
Okay, Beth here is active with us.
Yes,
Thank you, Beth.
Beth.
Yes, you're saying Carl is a humble soul. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you, Beth, on what you're sharing here.
Yes, it's a humbleness that was instilled in me. I never was. It was always about someone else, and it was always about how can I help someone else. Even as a kid, and my mom said I was just a special kid like that. I would at the playgrounds, and I would help people off the slides, the little kids, and it was funny how she tells me those stories as you get older, and you never really know what your child is becoming as they're doing things and they're participating. And she would just bring back, we would talk, especially over holidays. And, that's when everybody bring up the old stories of holiday time.
Yes.
And she was just like, I remember you did. And a lot of stuff I had, like, of course, I didn't remember. I was young. So she's like, yeah. And I remember you would do this and you would hold the doors for people and you would like always speak to people as a kid. She was like, I used to get a little nervous because she's like, I'll say it all the time. I thought somebody was going to grab you up or something. She was like, he was always waving or always shaking people's hands and all. I said, I don't know. I just, just sometimes some things are in you and that's what's going to be you. And that's what's going to be a part of you. And that's what makes you. And Beth, that's all I am. I don't know. I don't even know how that would look on me if I wasn't humble, because that's just me. It's not. That's why all the time I talk about people and being authentic and people like,
exactly.
Oh my God. They talk about authentic like it's just like this big university or something that you go to or something. It's like, yo, I'm going to authentic university and I'm just going to be an authentic person. Authentic is you. If you didn't have it before,
just be yourself.
Yeah, it's just you. If you didn't have it beforehand, you can't learn it. I mean, it's just the person that you are. And if you're not that person, if you're not that respectful, if you're not that genuine, if people is not warm in your presence, you can't create that. We're smart enough to figure that out. I mean, you may have it for a little bit, a couple of conversations, but the real you is going to come out.
Yeah.
The real you is going to come out.
I totally agree with you, Carl. So tell me about your podcast. How many times you're doing like podcasts? You're doing it weekly, or is it different from doing live? And tell me about your journey in podcasting. When did you think of moving from live and doing some live show to turn it into a podcast?
I actually think it was a few months ago. Maybe not even that much. This is May, so maybe about February. Actually, I just started on it, and I had a talk with someone on their podcast. A gentleman, Peter Lynch is his name, and
Yeah.
amazing guy, amazing story. And we talked, and he had me on the show for his podcast. And I was like, oh man, we gonna put this on sign here. And I actually listened to it. Like when I do my shows, like a lot of time I just had this thing about I don't go back and listen to my stuff.
Me too.
Yeah, I just don't. Everybody said because because I go back and then I go into that second frame of want to
Yeah.
change and want to do something different, and I never
Yeah.
want to get away from being authentic. The person
Yeah.
that I am.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
Yeah.
go back and I wish I'd have said this and that. I never
Yeah.
want to do that.
No
So
regrets. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't go back and listen to my shows. But what I did was like I listened to him and that because it was a podcast and it was just audio. And I was
Yeah.
working and I just threw it in my ears. And I was like, oh man, I tell a great story. And when I said it wasn't like it wasn't like oh man, I know my story is great. It was sort of like I sound okay, talking. Because
Good.
you always judgmental of yourself. Did I sound
Yeah.
right? Am my voice too high? And did I stutter? You start thinking about. But I was like, oh, our conversation went pretty good. I said maybe I could do that. So I got back on the phone with him, a Zoom, and I was like, yo, how'd you do the podcast? And he was like, man, he's like, you should have been on podcast. On podcast. I was like, no. I said I dated yours, and like it got me excited. And he was like, okay. I went and signed up. Anchor FM. No, they're not paying me, but they're the most useful one I've found. And I just started doing the shows like we're doing here. And when I started
Yes.
doing it, I just started recording them. So
Yeah.
it would be natural conversations. And then I would just record them. And it's so easy. When people find out, they're like, oh my God, podcast is not really, because I just thought it was like this whole big thing that you had to do.
Yeah.
I uploaded the show and then I downloaded it into their files. They did all the audio, they put it all together, and then they sent it out to Apple and Spotify. All I had to do is create an account.
That's it.
That was it. So I was like,
Oh,
this
that's
is
easy.
the easiest thing
Yeah.
that I've ever done since I've been trying to do stuff on my own. I was like, it was like just clicking and pointing and putting a file in there. And I did
Yeah.
that, and I did that. I got a little bit of traction on. I was like, oh, I'm gonna come out with my podcast. I tried it first before I like put my name in and all that
Yeah.
on it. I tried it to make sure it was something that was well. And now I do it. I put something in there once a week. I don't have a different day or a different time. I just put in there when I've had a good interview or when I've talked to somebody about some good
Great.
topics and some things that I think others need to hear about. I drop it in there and just it's for letting people hear. And also, if those who want to make money off of it, they do pay you.
Yeah.
If you use their ads or whatever in your podcast, they do
Mm.
pay you for that. So there is ways to make money out of that as well. But it was just another love for just getting out how I feel. That's pretty much what came of that.
Wow, that's easy. I didn't know that you started it that easy, and the story is it's nice that you're putting in and going, and it's more convenient. People sometimes don't have time to look to
Right.
videos or something. You just listen to it on your way to work and while you're exercising, doing anything. It's easy to be accessible to the podcasts.
Absolutely. And it makes it easy for everybody. And then it's interesting conversation. People like to hear
Yes.
interesting conversations. They like to hear that because a lot of times I know I'll be on podcasts. I listen to a lot of people's podcasts, and it just a lot of times it catches me with the title,
Yeah.
whatever the title is that they're talking about. I mean, that's how Clubhouse came along.
Yeah.
Clubhouse is just really podcast conversations. That's it. So
It's an amazing idea. It's like an interactive podcast where you
yeah,
can go and ask people, and it's an amazing force idea, and it shows the power of an idea. If you have a good idea and market it to the right people, it will blow away.
yes, it will.
Totally. So tell me about LinkedIn. How did you start on LinkedIn and your journey on LinkedIn so far? How did it help your business and how did it help your life?
LinkedIn gave me and what is so good, and I think so many people are missing the point on even business owners, and I'll put this out as a feeler for those who are thinking about going into entrepreneurship. I know LinkedIn has totally pivoted from this job place that it was. I was on LinkedIn since 2008. Okay, this is 2021.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
2021. Okay. So I was on LinkedIn a long time. I did not become an active person on LinkedIn until the pandemic started, which is
Yeah.
what gives us about 14 months or so now. So
Yeah.
when you look at all of that time, I just put my resume on there and hope somebody would get it. But when the pandemic came and I had opportunities, I had time, I had space, I started delving into LinkedIn. And then I started seeing this 1% of what you hear everybody talk about doing videos and stuff. I said, I want to be a part of that 1% because I scrolled through so many sites
Yeah.
with people just posting. And I already knew
Yes.
I could write. I had no problem with content. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people's story untold. It's a lot of people that I've shared content with. They use it as their post. It doesn't mean anything. I don't take anything for it. I don't charge them for it. Just sometimes people have a problem with writing and putting stuff
Yeah.
together. So I've given a lot of weight in that aspect, but I like it because it inspires them to do and share. And that's what I started doing on LinkedIn. I started sharing my thoughts. Then, of course, I said, well, I do the daily word. That was really what, and I built a following from that. And
Yeah.
from that following becomes an audience. And from that audience becomes someone that's interested in what you have to say. And
Yes.
that's how LinkedIn is starting to propel my business, even on that. And when I announced, I think it was yesterday it was, or the day before, that I had my business, like I got like about like 300 something. I still have to go through them. I got like 300 people talking about congrats on the new role. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
I got to go back. I got to go through all those so I can actually respond to all these people. But it grows itself. And then you get a lot of people understand that on LinkedIn and being visual and people seeing you, it is so true. The trust is there. I mean, I can
Yes.
never convey if no one saw me. Everything I wrote it really doesn't mean anything because who's to say
Exactly.
you're writing that? You know, I can put a post all day long. I can go get Alexander Hemingway and just post out his stuff and put
Yes.
my name at the bottom. But what does that mean? But when people see a face and they see, they see me
Yes.
doing a video or they see me in a natural lighting, they see me at home, they see me with my spiritual over, they start to connect it. Yo, this guy's a real person. And that's what LinkedIn has done for me is giving me an avenue where it's free advertising. Hello. It's
Exactly.
free advertising. Nowhere can you, I don't have to pay for ads. I don't have to have commercials. I can do my own. I can do my own. And this is what I love about LinkedIn. This is what made it so awesome for me. This is what made it. And not only that, it's a joy. I love going through the notifications and seeing different ones progress and seeing ones that have been waiting on the show. Now they have their own show and seeing ones that struggled with a video. Now they kind of like mastered it or, seeing that kind of thing go on. And it is just like, it's amazing to me. People like my man Usama is like one of
Yes.
them guys like I remember when he first started out and doing, and now he's like blowing up. Everybody wants to be on this show. He's a big man on campus now.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that I love to see, man. Because I'm all about people. I know it may sound corny to some. Somebody say, "Oh, this guy, man, he's just a corny dude." I love people, and I love seeing people succeed. This is what humanity is about. This is how I was raised. This is how I was brought up to help out, to give a hand, to be there for people. That's all I know. That's who Carl is. That's what I give.
Great, Carl. Yes, it's all about people, and it's all about how people get you motivated, and how you help people endlessly. And at the end of the day, you do it because you love people, and it will come back to you anyway. And it's a great platform. Also, that's why I love LinkedIn. Let's take some comments. Aya Fikri is saying you're a respectful fighter, Carl. Shawn
I have got
Watkins.
to. I've got to connect with her. I've got to.
Yeah, Nadal, of course, saying my honor, Carl. Our friend Osama, you're a true motivation, Carl.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. You are one as well, my friend.
Yes. Beth has a question for you. What are your habits in the morning to start your day to get your attitude and the best mindset?
The first thing I do once I come out of my bathroom and taking my shower, first thing I do is pray.
Great.
You can't. I have days where I miss the prayer to start my morning, and I can't say the day was a catastrophe, but it was not a pleasant day.
Yeah.
And that happened to me a while back, and then that was kind of like my wake up is that you start and spiritual wise for me is whatever your high, as I go for higher power, whatever your God is, whatever. I'm not discriminate against none. However you pray, however you worship, however you are, you begin the day with that. It's so essential to your mind and your body and your spirit becoming as one to begin before you let all of the other junk in. Before you let all of it in, it's totally that. That is my only ritual. I don't get up in the morning with a whole lot of, and everybody is to each their own on how you do. I don't get up with a lot of yoga. I don't necessarily have to have a morning walk. I don't. Those things are just extra. But once I get up and pray, I have a direction, and that's what I
Right.
need in the day. I need a direction. So God gives me that direction, and from there, everything flows. Like the stuff I have to write about, I come down and write. And I don't just sit here and get writer's block. I come in, first thing I say, if something hasn't came to my mind out of the prayer, most of the time I come and I say, okay, let me go to notifications. And I just scroll through them and see, what are people feeling today? What are people
Yeah.
talking about today? How are people feeling today? What's going on with people today? And I say, okay, this is what I'm putting out today. I don't look to copy nobody's stuff. I put out a feelers, and I say,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I'm going to write about today, and this is it. And I go from that on that day, and I just go from there. So that's sort of like my morning routine, Beth. I start with prayer. Because prayer to me is the guidance.
Yes.
Prayer to me is totally the guidance.
Amazing, yeah, amazing start for the day. Yes, it's prayer, and all other stuff is additional. Like you're saying, if you go for a walk, if you go for, it clears your mind. So if you're doing yoga, if you pray for the higher
Yeah,
source, for God, whatever you believe in, it's the right start. Totally agree with you, Carl.
yes,
Great.
absolutely, man.
Tell me about the latest post that you shared, as we are close to yesterday or day before yesterday was Mom's Day. And tell me about your story with your mom. And
Oh man, it was a year. Well, you guys, I heard my story.
yeah,
I was a dad's boy. So
yeah,
when my dad passed, and a little bit after that, and I guess it was also the time when we began kind of like pushing the boundaries of a teenager and single parenthood, right? And I just wanted to hang out with my friends, and these were buddies from the neighborhood, and it was seemed to be no problem with them when my dad was living. And I really thought that how I thought as a man, and my brother and I, like my mom kind of like started like she called it nurturing, but it started like that, like sweltering us, like
yeah,
fearful of something happening. Because of course, I couldn't get the understanding that she had lost her husband, so I couldn't put them two together. But her thing was more so, I have to protect my children now because it's just
yes,
me. And I
yeah,
never saw that. All I saw was like my mom stifling me, don't want me to go nowhere,
yes,
don't do anything. And oftentimes we run into that, and how it so resonates with people, because a lot of people can understand that as a teenager, as kids want to do stuff. A lot of times, and if they hadn't said it and I didn't mean it as the harsh terms of what hate actually mean, well, I mean, I just hated her actions when I
yeah,
was going through those times. And a lot of kids have said that. I mean, that's how I know it hit a nerve with everybody, because I can't think of nobody that when their mom or dad didn't let them do something, oh, I hate you. I mean, it just comes out as a
yes,
kid, right?
yes,
Yeah. So I just said that. And I said, well, let me put a spin on Mother's Day for people. I said, because everybody's going to get on and everybody's going to talk about their different, like,
yes,
I love mom and she's great. And, and I said, yeah, I said, I'm going to do that because, of course, that's my mom and that's what she means to me. But I'm going to let people know the realness of what it is. And I just thought that I'd do that. And I said, what better way to do this video than me driving to our house? Like,
yes.
and like I was sharing with Ahmad before, my mom is in my network. She does read my stuff. So she saw the video, and of course, she did not see the end
You
part
did
because she
not
cut it
show
off.
it to the end, huh?
So as when we got there, she had this look on her face, and I'm like, "Oh, it's Mother's Day. Why are you looking all cranky?" She's like, "I saw your video, and you telling everybody that you hate me, right?" So I was like, "No, Mom." I was like, "Come on, let's watch it together." So I put it on.
Yeah.
We watched it together. She's like, "Oh, okay, okay." She's like, "I
Okay.
feel better now." Yeah, but that's what it is. I just said, that she told me that I couldn't go, and she was not having it. And my mom is a little lady. I think my mom, like, I'm 6 feet, so my mom is like about 4'11". Like, so she's a little lady that packs a punch though.
Yeah.
Don't get that little size fool you. And I was just like, like angry, like you ain't let me go do what I want to do. And she was so right, because parents tell you stuff and they tell you that they know best for you and all of that. And as kids, we don't never think that that's the case. And she told me that, and all of the friends that I wanted to hang out with, to this day, they're either dead, they're in jail, or they're not doing anything with their lives.
Yeah,
And she was phenomenal at keeping me out of that circle. And
exactly.
she knew what she was doing. And to this day, I thank her for that, like constantly, constantly. Like if you'd have just let me went out that Friday night that I wanted to go out with them, there's no telling where my life would have spiraled to. And she just saw that. And that's what we as parents are. I see it a lot when my kids and yours, and you become a
Yeah,
parent. You see those things that your kid don't. And sometimes you're the bad guy. That's a part of being a
exactly.
parent.
Exactly.
That's a part of being a parent. And she was the bad guy, but she ultimately won out to be the good person, because she kept her son from a lot of turmoil, a lot of trouble, a lot of danger, maybe even myself locked up or dead, so
Yes.
that was it.
Yes, we don't see it at that time. We see it as they are like stopping us from going out with our friends. And during that time, your friends are the most important thing in your life. So we
Yes.
learn it. We learn it later when we get old and we get some gray hair. We start to to learn these really life
Yeah.
lessons
Yes,
that
we
our
do, man.
parents
Yes,
and
we
a
do.
lot of hardships that they've been through to guide us and to protect us. I
Yeah,
totally agree with you.
absolutely. That's it, man. So that's what I do now, and I appreciate everybody come by, man.
Yeah,
I
everybody, thank
appreciate
you
you
so
guys that
much.
come and just pour the love on. This is just amazing, amazing.
Yes, DJ One to One is saying, "What makes you smile, Carl?"
What makes me smile? People.
Yes,
Just people. It's no other way to put it, man. I know I may sound like a broken record to some, and just how
yes,
it is, but when I see people being fulfilled, I never took for granted how powerful you can be as a person. I had a job at McDonald's, and I think I was going to college, and I was going to school in a day, and I was working at McDonald's, and I got hired as a manager trainee. This was a few years back, and that's when Happy Meal toys was the craze, like those little
yeah,
Beanie Babies or whatever back then, right? And we would get the set of Beanie Babies, and there was a lot of little kids that would come in, and they would have their parents buy the Happy Meals, and they would get the Beanie Babies. And there was just one little kid that came in, and they were coming in every day. So of course, the Beanie Babies, like if you get them or you've been there a couple of weeks, they last. Then you move to the next toy. So
yes,
this lady would come in with her son, and he would get the beanies, and he would be so happy. And he would come every week. She would buy them. Now, I wouldn't advise this, because parents need to give their kids something. But I was excited to see the little kid, and I was excited to see him playing. And we had the same toy for about a week or so. And he would come in and he would get the same toy. And he came in one Friday, man. And he was so excited about a toy, and we didn't have the new ones, or we didn't have the new ones to give out. We had to give out
yeah,
all the ones until they were gone, and then move to the next one, right?
exactly.
He threw a little fit, man. He threw a little fit. He gave his mom a little fit on the floor. And I told his mom, I said, I'm gonna do something that I'm really supposed to do, but I'm gonna do this because you guys come all the time. So I went in the back. We had a special toy box, and that would give us each week throughout the whole time that the event was running. And I took a toy out of all of those weeks of that, and I put it in a bag for him. And I gave
Yeah,
him the toys. And I told
amazing.
him, I said, just take these, don't open them here, because I'm not supposed to give these, and go. Oh man,
Yeah,
she came back that Monday. I didn't work that Sunday. She came back that Monday, and she brought him in. That little boy ran up to me and hugged my legs.
yeah,
And that right there just let me know the power of what we have as people, looking out
exactly.
for other people. Like it is just a man from that point on, not that I changed the thought harshly about people, but from that point on, I really took the significance and what power we have, that if we smile at people, if we greet people, if we're pleasant with people, how that just changes people's lives. Like, the register person that's ringing you out, they don't want to be there. They got a sad face. I get to the store sometime, a lot of time, and they be looking all mad. I be like, how many hours you got? I start messing with them. How many hours you
Yeah,
got left for this shift? It's almost time, right? It's almost you start seeing them smile or whatever. And I've had people say, yo, you made my day just because you interacted with me. You know what I'm saying? Those are the kind of things, man, Mr. 101 that I love. That's what makes me smile.
Great answer, Carl. I totally agree. We need to be interactive with people, especially you don't know what people's going through. So it's better to be kind, and kindness always wins, as they say.
Yes, it does. It always wins, and it doesn't hurt. I think you can just go back to that narrative of what they say. How many face muscles does it take to frown, and how many
Yes,
it takes to smile? I mean,
exactly.
common sense tell you to smile. You know, common sense will tell you to smile, and that's what brings me joy, man. That's what brings me joy.
Love that, Carl, and it's a great way to really to end the show. I don't want to end it, of course. It's a
No,
friendly
no.
show, and you are one of my best friends here in
Yes, man,
LinkedIn.
absolutely, man,
So
absolutely.
it was a joy to have you, and the people are very happy to have you in, and
Yes, I love
see
everybody. Yes,
a lot of hearts from Beth and kindness and
yeah.
spreading love. So
Yeah, me
it's
and Beth
great
gotta do.
to
We
end
gotta
our
do a
show with
Zoom
all
call. I
these
gotta do that one.
hearts.
Yes, all those hearts. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate the love, Beth. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I
And
appreciate it.
I, as sending her love, also happy to listen to
I
your
am
general inspiring
definitely.
talk.
I am going to.
Thank you.
I
Thank you,
am
Aya,
going
so
to.
much for being in with us. And thanks to everyone who joined us. Carl, thank you so much. And
Thank you, buddy. I
looking
appreciate it, man.
forward
Thank
to
you
see you
kindly.
soon. And take
Yeah.
care. Have a great day. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
You too, man. Thank
Thank you,
everybody
Carl.
for coming by. I appreciate it, Ahmad. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.